Sunil Vachani, Dixon Technologies is NDTV's Indian of the Year Business Leader. Sunil, very, very congratulations. Many congratulations for winning Business Leader of the Year, and well deserved from the perspective of what a year you've had and what a change this has been for the entire EMS space.
Thank you so much, Tamanna. Thank you, NDTV. Thank you, the jury members, for this amazing recognition and an award. As I mentioned, this award actually belongs to my team, 30,000 family members of Dixon. It's their hard work, it's their achievement. I'm extremely privileged to accept it on their behalf.
You know, part of the reason why this is such a celebrated story, and this is apparent and known to all, but the kind of growth that has come for Dixon Tech through 2025, we're speaking at the end of the year, a look back and an outlook, because you're ending this calendar year at least with a bang. New joint ventures announced, going into new spaces, and really working on the backward integration plan.
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, there's no doubt that we've come very far as a company, very far as an industry, and even as a country, right, as far as electronics manufacturing is concerned. You recall some time back when almost all the mobile phones sold in the country were imported. And fast forward to now, where mobile phones as a single category is the largest category of exports as a single product. And I think we export mobile phones worth almost about $35 billion. So I think it's a huge achievement. But as I mentioned, this story is just begun, right? Because if you see India's share of the total electronics market is just about 3%, right? So total, I think, global electronics market is, I think, about $4 trillion. And we are just about $120 billion. So I think this story is just begun. But as I mentioned, what got us to this position is not likely to take us where we want to go. So I think what is really required to be done is what I call the focus on the 3S. The 3S theory is, one, we need to build a larger scale because scale is very important for global competitiveness. Two, we need to focus on the supply chain, because unless we get all the components into the country, unless we set up a robust supply chain, we will not be globally competitive. And of course, one of the most important parts is the focus on skills, right? Because now that you have to invest in backward integration, you have to ensure that you build further scale. The skills are going to be extremely important. So I think these are the things that we'll have to focus on. We'll also have to focus on ensuring that over a period of time we start designing our own products and transition, even as a country, from just manufacturing to the world to a products nation, where we're designing our own products that we export.
Sure. How far away are you from that goal, and what would be the big goal for, say, an FY27? Let me start with the parameter of market share of Indian-made mobile phones.
Well, you see, the goal is very clear that we need to invest in the backward integration, and very soon, and I think coming few months and in the coming financial year, you will see the value addition in mobile phones going up substantially. This used to be a common question that I was always asked at any conference. That look, is this just assembly going on? The value addition is very low.
Are you making in India or assembling in India?
Exactly. But I used to say that, look, I wasn't around that time, but when Maruti came in, right? I'm sure that was when the cars first started getting manufactured in the country. I'm sure the same question must have been asked. That this is just assembly of cars, right? And you see now our auto component sector is doing us proud. They're exporting to all over the world. So I think what I just advise the investors and the stakeholders that you got to be patient, right? Very soon, our value addition in mobiles, as I mentioned, is going to go from about 17% to almost about 35%, and very soon 40%. And we are doing this in very, very quick time. And if you see our other countries, who we compete with, they achieve this kind of value addition after a very, very long time, right? And thanks to the very proactive government policies, the new scheme which was announced, the ECMS, I believe investment proposals worth almost about 70,000 crores have been received. So this is going to ensure that we really, getting the value addition to the desired levels in very quick time.
Are you participating in the ECMS scheme? Because your peers have, some of them have. There hasn't been any clear announcement from your end.
Sure, we have participated, and as I mentioned, we are participating in 5 categories. We're just hoping that the approvals come in very quickly, which I'm told hopefully they should happen soon. But at the same time, we're already working on setting up the infrastructure. As I mentioned, our camera module plant is already up and running. We've achieved a very good scale, a decent size. Our display factory should be coming up, by the first quarter next year. So we're already, up and running and hoping that the approvals come soon.
Do you have a timeline for the approvals on the ECMS schemes?
Well, I can't put a timeline. It's for the government to do it. But what the feedback that we get, that hopefully it should happen sooner than later.
Likewise, you're waiting for approvals on some of the joint ventures you've announced, especially with Chinese counterparts. Is there any idea on what's happening there? Does it seem stuck somewhere? Because it's been some time. Have there been more queries? If you can just give us a sense of where that landscape sits.
Sure. So I think before I answer that, let me tell you that why these joint ventures are required. Right?
Yes, give us some details about the joint ventures for a larger audience and with who and why.
Sure. So our first joint venture application is for manufacturing the display modules. So if you look at that, if you look at this industry, and if you look at the low to mid-range mobile phones, the entire display industry has shifted to a northern neighbor, right? If you see Korea and Taiwan, they really don't manufacture the LCD LED backlight displays. Basically, they're into the high-end OLED displays. So I think it was important that when we needed to tie up with someone for the technology, we had to go in for that kind of a joint venture. And we feel that once this joint venture is up and running, the value addition will go up substantially. And I think what is very significant is that when we've announced this joint venture, we're getting a significant amount of interest from industries other than mobile, right? So there's automotive, there's the IT hardware, there's huge interest. So what's going to happen is that the value addition is going to go up not only in mobile phone, but many other categories, right? Because if you see, electronics is no more it's a vertical, it's horizontal, right? It touches every industry now, right? So we feel that once this happens, once our plants are up and running, the value addition is going to go up substantially across many sectors.
Coming back to the point of, are there approvals that are stuck with some of these Chinese joint ventures?
Well, see, I won't say they're stuck. You've got to appreciate that anyone making this application has to be conscious of the fact that, a lot of the study would have to be done. A lot of the, information will have to be provided to the government. This has to be studied by many ministries. A group of ministries have to give this approval. So it's a very long drawn process, right? But we are very hopeful that this should happen sooner than later. And eventually, like I said, the objective is that India eventually has to be truly Atmanirbhar. And we have to ensure that we not only manufacture to scale, but we have the component ecosystem and we design these products and offer our own solutions to the world.
One of the partners has an investigation on against them. Is that something that you can comment on and clarify on? Because for investors, that is a bit of a question mark. What really is happening there? Does it impact you in any way?
See, I won't like to comment on the investigation because I'm not even aware what exactly are the details of that. But what I want to inform you is that this is a joint venture, which is likely to be formed, which is completely separate. It's just a manufacturing joint venture wherein the existing manufacturing assets are getting carved out into a new company.
Okay, so there is no connection with that joint venture and that business and
right.
The current investigations?
It's completely a new company where the manufacturing operations are getting carved in or getting into the new company as such, into the new joint venture.
In your space, from an investor perspective and a market perspective, a lot of questions recently on cash flow. And that's happened with some of your peers. There have been, and then it led to a wider discussion that in the entire EMS space, is there a cash flow problem coming in? Your comments on some of those concerns and what Dixon's picture is looking like?
Well, I wouldn't like to comment on the other companies in the sector.
From an industry perspective.
But I think from an industry perspective, I think when you look at investors, right, from their point of view, I think to them what is extremely important is that how are the return ratios, right? As an industry, this is one industry where the entry barriers are low. right? So you've got to be extremely focused on your working capital cycle. You've got to be extremely focused on your capital allocation policy, because let's appreciate that the companies which have gone wrong or which have really fallen off in this sector was basically because of wrong capital allocation policy. It wasn't so much of the market conditions, it wasn't something else, it wasn't the external competition. It was wrong capital allocation. So I think obviously the investors are going to be very, very focused on that. And as a company, I'm very happy to say that the team led by Atul, Saurabh, and all the team members have been extremely focused. Our net working capital cycle is almost 0, or 3 to 5 days in different quarters. So we as an organization are extremely focused on our return ratios and the cash flows and the working capital cycle. And you would see that our return on capital employed is probably the highest in the industry, and even as compared to the other industries.
Just a last question, Sunil, and you've been very sporting to take all of my questions. Just the outlook for 2026, what's going to be new, exciting and different for Dixon?
Well, lots of exciting things happening. Our IT hardware venture, as I mentioned, has taken off. Now we've reached certain scale, and I think the only way is up from here, because as you know, as a country, we import IT hardware worth almost $15 billion. There is huge number of data centers coming in. So it's very exciting time as far as the IT hardware is concerned. I think we're also looking forward to the joint ventures coming in place, wherein the scale will go up substantially. We could be looking at exports in a very, very big way. We are looking at huge growth coming in from the telecom venture. There's expansion happening in the appliances side, on the refrigerator, on the washing machines. We're looking at getting into front-loading washing machines. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of exciting products to get into, a lot of new partnerships coming in. So we're really looking forward to the coming years.
What's the biggest challenge? Is it supply chains in terms of all of the global headwinds we're seeing, tariffs? What is that one thing that you are preparing for in this uncertain world?
I think the biggest challenge would, as I mentioned, would be the 3S, that I talked about. And I think the skills part is going to be something very, very challenging. And it's something that we cannot really, tell the government to do things, because I think the government has really honestly played their part. Now the ball is in our court. We need to work with, academia, with institutions to ensure that the students who are coming out, of ITIs or various universities are really ready to get into manufacturing. And I can tell you the manufacturing sector will require hundreds and thousands of jobs, new jobs which will be created. But you would require a different sort of skill set for these people to come into it, right?
Anything you want to see in the budget on this?
Well, as far as the budget is concerned, what we would like to see is that this budget should help the country and the industry to become globally competitive, right? And in our pre-budget recommendation, what we've said is that what we really need is the correct tariff structure, right? We don't need high tariffs. And when I say correct tariff structure, that means you need to have your finished products at the highest tariffs. Then you need to have your sub-assemblies at a little lower tariffs. So, you'd be surprised to know that as a country, we import populated PCBs, right? It's called as sub-assemblies, worth almost $7 billion, right? And that's probably because of the tariff structure not being correct. And then you need to have the piece parts, and then the commodities at the lowest tariffs, right? Now today, it's not really in that order. And I'll tell you what happens, that when you have these kind of tariff structures, you end up exporting your taxes, right? Because let's appreciate that if I'm the direct exporter, only I get the duty-free inputs, right? Duty-free, benefits for inputs. My tier 2, my tier 3 suppliers do not have access to duty-free inputs.
So we need to have a more detailed conversation on this, but
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Sunil.
Thank you, Tamanna, and thank you for having me on the show. Thank you.